We have Good afternoon, South Africa. Welcome to Afternoon Express. I'm Bonnie Mbuli, and happy Africa Day. Now, various people all over the country are celebrating Africa Day, and many of us don't quite know what it means, although we're quite excited. But technically, Africa Day originated in 1963 in Ethiopia when the Organization of African Unity was first formed. The organization was originally formed to bring freedom from colonialism to the various African countries. South Africa was the last country to join the unity and then disbanded in 2002. But today we discuss what Africa Day means in the modern age. And joining us in the conversation is actor and producer Hakim Kae-Kazim. Plus we sit down with author Beatrice Achaleka, who is the first African-born woman to stand for parliamentary elections in Austria. Then we have professional choreographer Thandi Swaartbooi here, who has brought some dancers along to showcase some of South Africa's traditional dance forms. Can't wait.
Good afternoon, South Africa, and welcome to Afternoon Express. My name is Danilo Aquisa. It's so good to be here today, especially on Africa Day. And one of the things that I've been asking myself this question, Megan, I don't know if you can have answers to these things, is what does it take to have an identity as an African? And so on our Facebook page at the moment, we're asking you to share a whole bunch of pictures of yourself, how you would celebrate Africa Day and how you're celebrating your African heritage and culture. So really think about what that means, because I'm thinking, I'm a white male, you know, a whole bunch of European backgrounds behind me, but I mean, generations ago, we've already been living in South Africa. So what does it take to really identify as an African? I've been struggling with that question today. I don't know, do you?
I think it just makes us really individuals to just have so much in our background and so much as part of our history that the world knows about that, which is quite cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to continue to explore this on the show today, and we'd love to hear all of your feedbacks and thoughts. Hashtag Afternoon Express on Twitter. You can also find us Afternoon Chat. There's a poll running on our Twitter page at the moment, which we'd love you to vote in. Do you know what Africa Day is all about? That's the question we're asking in our poll at the moment. One of the ways to find identity is through food and culture. And so in the kitchen today, we're going to be exploring just that. What have you got planned, Meg?
So we're going to be making a salmon wellington as well as a traditional jollof rice.
Oh, yummy.
Yeah.
And the jollof rice is going to be made by Hakim himself. And speaking of, he's standing by on our couch.
On the 25th of May in 1963, in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, the Organization of African Unity was formed between 32 countries. The aim was to band together and eradicate colonial rule of Africa, returning control to its people. This was the birth of Africa Day, and the unity was eventually disbanded in 2002 by former President Thabo Mbeki. Every year, on this day, we still celebrate Africa, and today we've invited actor and producer Hakim Kae-Kazim to join us, who has spent his life all over the world, but finds his roots firmly placed on the African soil. Welcome to the loft.
Thank you for having me. It's great.
So it turns out you were one on the day that Africa Day was formed. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, incredible, yeah.
So you were a baby, you grew up in Nigeria. Do you remember the early days in Nigeria?
Yeah, no, I don't, because, you know, I grew up in Nigeria, but I was about 2 when my parents went to Europe. So, you know, I'd left. But, you know, the nice thing about Nigerian parents, when you go to Europe, we went to London, you know, you're always, as soon as you come home, you're in Nigeria. So everything that's around you is Nigerian. You know, we always celebrated the food, we celebrated Independence Day, you know, so everything around us was Nigerian, and parents would always tell you, you're Nigerian, you must never forget you're Nigerian, ever.
Yeah,
you know, so,
well, it sounds like they were proud parents.
Yeah, they were, and they are. Yeah.
So how did you experience your Nigerian identity and your African identity in the UK at that time?
You know, very much through the food that we ate, you know, definitely, the music that was in the house, you know, the people that would come to visit, and there was always a Nigerian feel when you were, you know, as soon as you walked through the front door. So, you know, England was outside that door, and then inside the house, you were sort of back home, you were in Nigeria with all the rules and regulations and everything else that applied.
And when your idea of becoming an actor and your dream of becoming an actor, where did you see yourself? Did you feel like there'd be roles for you, there'd be stories for you to tell, or did you feel like it was something you were going to fight to carve out for yourself?
You know, I think I never really thought about it initially in that sort of sense, because having, you know, doing my early part of my career was in England, and you know, I suppose I went along the traditional path of, you know, Shakespeare was big, so I did a lot of Shakespeare. I joined the Royal Shakespeare Company, the National Theatre, and did all of the very classical things that a lot of English actors sort of do. But I think once my journey came, once I started the journey to South Africa and started to go back more often to Nigeria, you know, I started to discover the idea of my own true African identity. And I think that's what sort of really spurred me on to sort of really want to try and tell the African story from an African perspective.
Yeah,
and so that's what's brought me back. And even though I live between here and Los Angeles, you know, for me coming back now is really about trying to help get that story across and try and develop stories and try and work with local filmmakers to try and get the African story out there.
Absolutely. And you know, you said something quite poignant, is that you discovered your true African identity for yourself. And it's actually a journey everybody has to take.
Definitely.
It's one thing being African, and it's another like self-realizing and actualizing.
Definitely.
And then deciding that you're going to contribute in that way. What was there any like particular point or distinct incident that stands out for you as that moment?
I think for me it was a couple of things. I think it was one when I was at the Royal Shakespeare Company when we did a march against apartheid, and the whole company was asked to join in and do like a concert. And there was one poem. It was about a woman. I can't remember the woman's name, but it was about the fact that no one would pronounce her name. Her name was whatever it was,
right.
But they would call her Mary.
Because
and it was the
no
fact
one
because they
cared
wouldn't
to
try it exactly, and that to me was, you know, it really resonated very powerfully. And then in '94 I came to South Africa, you know, and was caught up in the euphoria of that particular time, and I think that's when my real journey really started. And even though I'd been back to Nigeria many times, it really started in South Africa.
Yeah.
The real realization of,
Yeah.
of the need and to become and be truly African.
Yeah. And as an actor and a producer yourself, what kind of stories do you think we need to be telling now about Africa? And what part of the story are we not telling?
I think we need to be telling all sorts of stories about Africa, about the continent. We're a myriad of different sort of people, a myriad of different story types. And all those stories for me have are very valid. You know, I don't think we're telling enough stories. So what type of stories are we not telling? We're not telling all of them in one sort of sense. We need to be sort of in control and masters of the story. We need to be in control and masters of the storytelling. And I think once that starts to happen, it's going to be a great realization and a great sort of through the television and film, exactly, their story.
Yeah.
And so that's what we need. We need people to really understand who we are as Africans from our perspective,
and
through our stories.
them. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. So you're also part of an organization called Africa 2.0.
Yeah.
Tell us about the work that you do and what you've been involved in so far.
I mean, I've mainly been a sort of a visual ambassador for them, so I haven't really done much on the ground. It's really just about talking about them. And they're a sort of a civic organization to help sort of raise the profile of Africa, but the leadership to be inspired from those different countries, to be, you know, to come home and give them literature and books and various other things to sort of really to sort of empower themselves. But ultimately, that journey comes from within, and I think if you open them to expose them to certain things, hopefully in time they will discover for themselves.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think we look good in blue today.
I do too. Blue
and I
is,
specifically love your outfit.
Thank you very much. I'm representing. This is called an agbada. It's you know, traditional Nigerian wear. So
right. And when is it worn?
You know what? In Nigeria, it's worn all the time.
All the time.
All the time. And you know, the more elaborate ones are worn sort of for weddings and various special occasions.
Yes.
I mean, if I was going to go really flash, I'd have sort of little diamante things all over it, and it'd be very elaborate. But this is a sort of everyday wear agbada thing. So,
well, it's lovely. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honestly, Akeem, you always put me to shame when it comes to dressing up awesomely on Afternoon Express. So thanks so much for joining us on the show today. On our Facebook page, as we celebrate Africa Day, we're asking you to tell us a little bit more about how you celebrate your African identity and culture. And obviously, if you can, please try and post some of those photos on how you're managing to do that. Busi Yankee says, I dress up accordingly and indulge in traditional food. I also make sure that I do research about an African country I had little knowledge about. And then she posted this little photo here, which looks absolutely awesome. Busi, you look incredible in that attire there. Thanks for sharing a photo with us. Then there was one up here that I wanted to read from Bongani Mbokeni, who says, in my family, we celebrate African culture by doing traditional ceremonies now and again. And by doing that, it connects us to our culture and our ancestors. And then Sarah Esop had this really cool quote, which I thought I had to read, which says, if you only visit 2 continents in your lifetime, visit Africa twice. And I love that. They came from R. Elliott, and she says, happy #Africa Day. Continue to share how you are celebrating your African culture with us on Afternoon Express. Before I get off our social, I wanted to read you our poll on Twitter that we're running on Afternoon Chat. The question we're asking you is, do you know why we celebrate Africa Day? Because it seems to be the conundrum in the loft today. All the behind-the-scenes conversations, what does it mean to be an African, and why are we celebrating this day today? And so far, of the 17 votes, we've got 65% of you say we would love to know, and 35% say yes, we do know why we celebrate Africa Day. Continue to vote in our polls and find us on our Facebook page. After the break, more of incredible lady, well, not one incredible lady who's done incredible things to spread the African word across the continent. Ladies, take it away.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express, live on SABC3. Now, today we witness Africa Day. We asked the question, what does Africa Day really mean? We're joined now by Beatrice Achaleka, who was born in Cameroon and then spent 20 years living in Austria, where she became the first black female to stand for parliamentary elections in the country's history. She's a multi-award-winning social entrepreneur, and she's released a children's book called Africa for Smart Kids. Welcome to the Loft, and an honor to have you with us. Well, happy Africa Day.
Oh, same to you.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful day today.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were born in Cameroon and you spent 20 years in Austria and now in the process of moving to South Africa. How have all these experiences in these different places shaped who you are and how you approach things?
Oh, it definitely has, in a very, very great way. I think had I not been to Austria, had I not lived there for the 20 years that I did, I wouldn't have come about the idea of writing the children's book. Had I not lived there, I wouldn't probably not have come about the idea of moving to South Africa. So it's like a process of personal growth. You move from one stage to the other based on the experiences that you make in one space that you spend time in.
Yeah. What is Cameroon like and what are the people there like?
Oh, Cameroonian people are very happy people. They're very hospitable. They are people who are lively. They love music. They love dancing. They love, they're great readers. We have good writers in Cameroon as well.
Yeah.
We have good music and really good food.
One of the things that I find really sad about where we're at as Africans today is that we know the least about other Africans on the continent. Mm-hmm. And how do you think that we can create better platforms where we can share ideas, we can communicate with each other, teach each other about ourselves, and also just assign meaning to our shared experience of being Africans?
I think it's now more important and more relevant than ever before.
Absolutely.
Because we consume a whole lot of other information on social media, which is far away from who we are as Africans. So to really come back, we need a lot of platforms that take us probably right back to where our fathers, the fathers of Africa's independence, were with the Pan-Africanism. I think we really have to go back there to question ourselves. Who are we as a people? Where do we come from? Absolutely. What are the things that we have in common with each other? Not the things that separate us, but the things that we have in common. So writing the children's book is for me like creating one of those platforms to say, you don't have to have been to Cameroon in order to like Cameroon, to see that as a South African, we have so much similarities with Cameroonians. You don't have to have been to Ethiopia or to Somalia, but just through reading books and going on platforms on social media, specifically looking for that. Absolutely. You have to be, we have to be curious and to ask so many questions in order to unveil the Africa that we are today, not that which was, that someone thought it was like 50 or 60 years ago.
Indeed. So let's talk about the books. The books, it's a series called Africa for Smart Kids. How did this idea come about and why now? Why was it so important now?
The idea has always been in my head to write books because when I had my two kids, I realized that there were no real books that reflected the culture that come from my history. We had all children's books, but there were never real books that come from Africa. And so that was the first point. You have to write those books. And then when I moved to South Africa and my kids came to visit me, they went back home and had all this kind of questions about, did they eat in Africa? Were there monkeys? Did they have good drinking water? It was, this kind of irritating questions.
Did they see lions in the streets?
Yes, and my daughter, she is my boss. She said to me, Mom, this is the right time to write the children's book and I'll supervise you through the process.
Wow.
So that was the first, the second reason. And also when I got here, I noticed that we have a lot of xenophobia. We fight against each other as Africans. We call each other foreigners. And I'm thinking like, in Europe, we're foreigners. In America, we're foreigners. We can't really be foreigners. When are we home? Yeah. So it was like, okay, instead of following the discussion and, pointing fingers, just create something. Write a book that everyone can read. Families can read these books. It's not just for smart kids, it's for families. You can have it in corporate rooms. Yes. You can have it in your clubs. You can have it just everywhere. Mm-hmm. Because it's my way of contributing to us really taking time to unveil that identity, to finding out about our own stories that make us to be proud Africans that we should be.
Yeah. What were the guidelines you used as you went about researching for the books?
I had to take the questions, most of the questions that kept coming up. Like, does the sun always shine in Africa? Are there rich people in Africa? Do people live in mud houses in Africa? Are all Africans black? So I just got those questions and got my kids to guide me through the process. And I have been working with a lot of schools in Austria, so I had a lot of exposure too to the kind of questions that adults and kids ask about Africa. And I went on my social media and asked questions to my friends. What is it when you hear Africa, what do you associate Africa with? And the answers, they were really like everything was negative, and I was like, no. This is not what it has to be. So in this book, I'm very deliberately taking people from to different places in Africa. From the book cover, like for example, you see book 1 has the textile is from Cameroon. It's the royal textile from Cameroon.
Wow.
Book 2 is Ghana, the textile. Book 3, which
That's
is called
gorgeous.
All Africans Black, is from Burkina Faso. So what we're doing is we're telling stories through, not just through the narrative, but through the book covers and the pictures and the graphics that we have in the books.
they're
So by the time you
beautiful.
finish reading, you have the feeling that you've done a tour of Africa without really having living your home.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, talking about your time in Austria, you've been like awarded so much for the work that you did there, and you received the highest decoration of honor of Austria for your intercultural dialogue. Tell us about the work you've done around intercultural dialogue, and how important was this?
Well, when I got to Austria, one of the things that I realized was that there was no community. There were fewer Africans then, and people did not really know about Africa. And I came from a very big family. I grew up to be surrounded by people. So the first impulse was, we need to have a platform that we can communicate with, where we can really be ourselves. It has to be a safe space where we can transform our topics into our jobs. So the first thing was creating an organization called the Black Women's Community. It was a response to something very tragic that happened.
Yeah.
In 1999, a fellow African, Nigerian, was seeking asylum in Austria and was deported. So he died on the process. He died on the way.
Of getting deported.
Yes. Another one happened again in 2004. So it was like, now we really have to organize ourselves. So I created a Black Women's Community. In 2005, I noticed that we really have to sensitize the public about issues that affect Black people and their families, not just, empowering ourselves in safe rooms. So I created the International Center for Black Women's Perspectives. And in 2008, the European Union launched the European Year for Equal Opportunities for All. So I launched the Black European Women's Council. It was an umbrella organization of Black women in Europe, Black women in 18 EU member states.
Right.
So I've been doing that. I've also been doing trainings for police officers on intercultural dialogue.
That's incredible. Yeah.
When police people meet you on the way and they don't really know some social codes, communication codes from the culture where you come from, there tend to be a lot of aggression and a lot of mishaps.
Oh.
So those are some of the things that I did that brought some of the awards that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But what I'm passionate about now is, bringing those competencies and bringing those experiences here.
Absolutely.
And in doing that, it's not just about writing the books, but also taking the books to people who really need to read the books.
Wow.
So we're launching a campaign.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm very excited to get these books for my kids, and I think everybody should try to. We'll chat a bit later around the table later on in the show. Thank you so much.
So much still to come on Africa Day right here on Afternoon Express. I know you guys hate it when I do my terrible dance moves, so I'm going to leave it to the experts. Got more dancing after the break with a Swaartbooi.
Live scratch-free with new Head & Shoulders African Scalp Care.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Africa Day. You're with Afternoon Express live on his ABC3. As we witness Africa Day today, we've sat down with two inspiring figures from different parts of Africa who've lived their lives all over the world. Now we bring the attention a little closer to home.
Indeed. We're joined by choreographer Thandi Swaartbooi, who is an absolute expert in traditional South African dance forms, and she's the founder and director of the marimba group Women Unite SA.
Welcome to the Love, Sis Thandi.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Tell us a little about Women Unite SA.
Women Unite started in 1997. Started Women Unite together with my sister Nomonde, Brenda first.
Brenda
CEO, and and Pamela.
Nice.
Pamela Mtshati, yeah.
So cute.
So now the reason why I started Women's Marimba Band is to make sure that uplift the standard of women in terms of arts, because we were sidelined. When we started Women Unite, I was working with the male-dominated groups like Amampondo, Heshubeshu, and others. So now what I noticed that us as women, we're just pushed to the front. We have to go and stand in the front and dance and smile.
And ululate.
That's the ululate. Yeah, that's all.
Of course. And then
so
make
now,
the food during the breaks.
You understand? So now I said, no, man, if they can do it, why can't we as women do it? So now I started playing marimbas by stealing. So how do I steal? I just, when we're playing, when we're performing, we're rehearsing, I'll just watch. And then when they go, I'll call the others to start playing.
Oh, I see.
So that's how we started. And then now we started, I started moving around, collecting women that who's got talent in music, in dance, and also in acting. So that's how it started, with the aim of empowering women through the arts.
And what I also love about it is not only aiming to empower women in the arts, it's about preserving culture. And I think that's so cool, because one thing that maybe I haven't explored as a youngster is all the different forms of culture and expression we have in South Africa. And today you're going to be showing us two particular dance forms. First is Kwela, right?
3, I think we're going to see today.
3.
Are we doing 3
Yeah.
today? Yes!
Yay.
The first is Kwela.
Kwela, yes.
Right, tell us a little bit more about Kwela.
Kwela originates from Sophia Town, back in the days of Mama Miriam and that. So what you do in Kwela, you when there are also migrant laborers staying in the area. So what will happen over the weekends? They will come around together and have fun. So now when you're having fun, you dress up, because they don't have any places to go to, like to dine and stuff. So now they will come into this place, into this hall, and then they will come together, and you will come with your partner, your boyfriend or whatever. And you dress up for that day. You wear your hats, your polka dot dresses, you wear like nice, and then the men will wear Floshem shoes, Brainwood, braces, and hats. And then you go there. And then while you are busy having fun there, some of them, they're having booze. Then the policeman will come. It's called Kwela Kwela. And the police will chase them. And then when the police comes, and then you have to run for your life. You even forget about your partner when you run. So most of the moves that are done in the Kwela, it's like, you'll see some of them, it's like running. It's more of the doing and ducking the police. So that is how it's...
So should we take a look at
Let's
this?
do it. Here's the Kwela dance on Afternoon Express as we celebrate Africa Day.
Begin to sing. The stories
Nice times, huh? Mm-hmm. Cool.
I forgot about the show for a second there.
Absolutely,
Getting into it.
absolutely.
Then what about Xhosa?
Xhosa, I'm also Xhosa.
Yes.
From Kokoletu. So now the Xhosa dance, or people that are doing it and are still maintaining the dance moves is in the Eastern Cape. So here in the cities, we kind of sidelining it, because now when you're doing this, most of the traditional dances in the cities, they see you as being backward. That is why we're struggling in the arts about different dance forms. So now this one is a Xhosa dance. I chose it that we can do Xhosa and run away from other dance forms of other cultures.
Okay.
And then
check it out.
This, what they're going to do is called Umkikimbo and Imfene. Imfene originates from the mines. When the migrant laborers are not working, they will do Imfene. But now it's been taken by Amampondo, and then they make it famous and popularize it.
The best way to obviously go and experience these is to see it for ourselves. So let's go and check out Xhosa. So cool. I'm so glad we get to experience these things. I mean, to preserve all of this culture. Last but not least, the gumboot, ma.
Okay, the gumboot comes from the mines. The ladies are going to show us how it's done from the mines. The reason why we're having this dance, we had, back in the days, the migrant laborers would stay there, and then they were also not allowed to talk amongst themselves, so they communicated through the playing of the boot. And then also they do have a commander who directs them on which step to do now, the next step that we do. And then as time goes on, they started using like drums and then the guitars and stuff just to make it fun. And then when they're not working, they will go into a hall and do competitions amongst themselves.
Okay,
so we'll
check
see
it out.
one of them.
Go. Yo, Anga. Carlene, where you at?
Let's go to the island. Stand together, you and me. We can win this million. We're gonna find treasure by the smooth.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Sea Harvest. New look, same great taste.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express on this beautiful Africa Day. A lot of conversations have been happening on our Facebook pages. We're asking you guys how you're celebrating your culture. And a lot of the comments that were coming through got to do with food. And so we thought we'd make 2 delicious recipes in the loft with us today, back to back. Megan Daniels is our food stylist on the show today and showing us how to make a delicious salmon Wellington up first.
Yes, yeah, with a dill cream sauce. So it's going to be really, really delicious. So we've got Sea Harvest. It's absolutely sustainable. It's really, really fresh. And you know that everything comes from Sea Harvest. Like it's basically frozen at its most freshest point, which is amazing.
We went to go visit their factory and the whole way that they do it. It's really cool. It's a
really cool
bunch of people too.
So the way that we're going to get started is basically you wilt down a couple of handfuls of spinach. So I've just got that.
Okay, and you use the baby spinach or a normal spinach?
Baby spinach. So this over here. Then to that, we're just going to add a little bit of lemon zest. It loves fish, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, also, the wilted spinach itself can be quite like a tinny flavour, got quite a irony flavour.
Irony flavour, yeah.
So this is the zestiness kind of brings the freshness out of it.
Very high in iron, right? So just a little bit of that, and then we're going to do some garlic, because everything is better with garlic.
Yummy!
There we go.
So you're basically making like a creamed spinach, but without the cream.
So exactly. So here, this is actually where the fun part kind of happens. So we literally are just going to fold that off. I mean, you can do a full one. I'm just going to show you with
How do you do one?
Yeah.
What is this? Is this a normal phyllo pastry? Puff pastry? Puff pastry. Okay.
So you can be daring and make it yourself, but it's very convenient.
Don't leave me with daring anything. Like, dare me to do anything and I'll mess it up.
So you can see how quick and easy this is.
I'm pretty sure my mom was dared to have me in. That was also a mistake. I'm kidding. My mom loves me. And I'm actually a really good human, okay? It's terrible. I love you, Mom. Like, I love you. That's terrible.
Okay, regain this by maybe making this for her afterwards. Yeah, here we go. Some spinach in the middle.
Mother's Day's past.
Yeah. Oh, every day's Mother's Day, right?
Good save, Meg.
Okay, just like this.
Cool.
Here we go. And then to that, we've got our salmon fillets. So what's really nice about this is we're literally just going to lay individual ones down like that. Okay. And then we're going to do lattice work.
Lattice?
Lattice.
Lattice work.
Lattice. So you see across?
Why not plattis?
It kind of is.
Because it's like a plat. Why don't you just call it a plattis work? Why make it complicated? It's like calling that a fillet instead of a fillet. I mean, really.
Okay, well,
Chefs,
then we're going to do platters work over here from Dan. Just like this. See how quick and easy? It's literally fine.
So quick and easy.
Should have given you the little bit to do at the end like that. There we go.
Look, I did it, Mom.
And then we're going to do some egg wash just over it.
Oh, yummy. And that's going to give it that nice crispiness on the outside, that brown outside.
It's going to be absolutely crispy. So the reason that you'll know that it's ready is that when this gets a nice crispy underneath, and then the salmon, salmon doesn't need to be all the way cooked through. It's a really nice fish to just do it completely fresh, and they do it perfectly fresh as well. So this just goes onto an oven tray and into the oven for 200.
At 200?
At 200 for about 20 minutes.
Okay, fantastic.
So to the pan, we're going to make the sauce. Yeah.
Don't you love our new kitchen? It's the first time you cooked in our new kitchen, right?
I absolutely do love it, yeah.
Yay.
So here we go, a little bit of cream. This is going to probably bubble away.
Good, that's good news.
You actually wanted to get to that point, which is actually good. So we're just going to add a little bit of garlic to that.
So it's cream, garlic, and what else needs to be poured in here to make this dip?
Some feta cheese.
Oh, yummy. Can I stir this up for you?
Yes, please.
What must I use?
There you go.
Thank you.
So to that, we don't actually have to do a lot of salt and pepper because the feta is already quite salty. So just a little bit of seasoning.
Oh, this smells like the perfect sauce to use for snails. Sorry, just saying, it's yummy.
If you do like snails.
I love snails. Oh, cooked snails are the best. And then, tripe is my favorite. Let's throw it all in.
So once it's bubbling, which it already is, we're just going to add the dough. And then you've got the dough cream sauce.
Just serve with your Wellingtons.
Yeah.
How yummy and easy is this? If you want to try and create your own salmon Wellingtons at home, you can SMS the keyword fish to 33650. It will cost you $150, however, and there's free SMSs don't apply. And you'll get an SMS with all the details on where to get the recipe itself, where to get all the ingredients as well. So make sure you can SMS that keyword fish to 33650. And if you've just tuned into the show on this Africa Day, here's a recap on how we made it. that's one meal done on Afternoon Express and only one to go. And so we've invited Hakim into the loft. I'm not too sure. Are you feeling comfortable in the kitchen? Are you quite a kitchen man?
I'm not really a kitchen man, but I do like eating in the kitchen.
Lovely.
That way.
So we decided to really incorporate an African dish that I've actually never heard of before, jollof rice.
Jollof rice.
Tell us more about it.
Well, it's a staple. It's a Nigerian dish, and my parents my mother used to make it and loved it. And it's a rice-based dish, but it has a whole bunch of other things in it. A bit like a risotto, actually. I make a risotto, yeah.
Great. Well, Megan, show us how.
Cool. So in
Put us to work.
this pot, okay, you can see it's already bubbling really quite nicely. So what we've done here is we've just sliced up onions really, really finely, and then combined our tomato paste, curry, thyme, and our bay leaves. And that's because while we've done this before, is because you actually just want your onions to always go low and slow. You never want to rush your onions.
Listen, you've got two men in the loft. You're welcome to boss us around.
Yeah,
so let's get going with this
I can
recipe.
be cutting here.
I'll put you onto the sauce then.
Yes, put me onto the sauce.
So straight into there, we're going to add
Put
our
this
tinned tomatoes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Our chopped onions.
Yes.
More chopped onions.
Yeah.
Make your husband do that at home. Make him chop the onions. Make him cry.
Okay, we've got some peppers.
Some peppers.
Or your son if he didn't do his homework. Or daughter.
And fresh
Ben's
tomatoes,
today.
right? And
Yes.
these, right? Yeah, that's
That
right.
as well. Just for some freshness.
Yes, exactly.
It smells so good already.
Perfect.
And what about the pepper? Isn't there pepper missing here? Am
These
I correct?
things?
It's in there?
Yeah, we put it in.
No, I'm talking about the actual,
Like seasoning.
yeah, yeah.
We could actually do chili, but
Chili pepper, yeah.
No, it's
I remember
just a
my
little
mum
bit
pepper and
yeah,
salt,
yeah.
Nick.
yes,
But anyway,
but
so we're
we've
doing
got
this,
some curry
right?
in there, so that's good.
So what happens now?
So then we
Let's
just mix it up here.
There he's going. That's it.
Okay, brilliant.
That's about it, right?
So the reason
Yeah.
why it's been raw ingredients that we've thrown into there is because we actually are going to add that straight to the pan.
Okay,
so this
so
is one
that's
that's
what it is.
already
Okay.
been cooked down. So I'm just
okay.
going to add this in.
Yummy.
You can smell that.
Oh, the smells so good. As soon as tomato hits the pan, it's one of my favorite things in the world.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Tomatoes and
Oh,
onions.
that chili. Yo.
So there is a little bit
Cool.
added
Let's
to
move
that.
this recipe along.
You know
Okay,
what you don't
perfect.
have is hot pepper stuff. That's what I remember my mother putting in there to get
Like some real chilies in
Yes,
there.
yeah.
That's really
Tang.
interesting.
Yeah.
Listen, we're doing it for Bonnie. Don't tell her I said this, but we're doing it for Bonnie. We must be careful. We're going to feed somebody a recipe at the end of the show. They're going to be like, well, see you tomorrow and watch it tomorrow on the show.
You can add chili to your taste. So I'm just adding a bit of butter just to give it that absolutely like glossy taste.
Cool. And then
I think
and
in
look.
Nigeria, what we would have would be palm oil. Palm oil.
Oh,
is
okay, yeah.
yes, or like I guess if you like really like fancy, like
Yeah.
coconut oil.
Oh, okay. So then we're going
But
to
be
add
traditional.
some rice to that.
Because you pre-cook your rice.
Yes, you do.
To make jollof rice. Okay, I didn't know. But you do, this feels like a little bit al dente, so it needs to
Yeah.
cook a little bit in here.
Parboil, yeah.
We'll cook it.
And then what
So
happens? It
just
comes
done
out looking like this.
halfway, yeah, so you can just do that. There you go.
And we used to
butter.
add. My mum used to add. You used to add sometimes meat in there and just egg and
Meat
just
would
other
be
things in
absolutely
there as
delicious.
well.
Oh, delicious.
Shrimp and yeah.
Yummy, so play around on Africa Day,
Yeah.
explore African cuisine. This is what it should look like in the end if you guys are making yours at home. All the details on how to make your very own jollof rice are on our website. It's afternoonexpress.co.za. And this is our final dish.
That is our final dish. So we can actually...
Taste that, actually. See what
Here
that's
we go.
like. Yeah.
How do you eat it? Like, what would you do with just like a spoon kind of thing?
I'm going to ask
Yeah, eat
if
it with
you
a
could
spoon.
hold this
I will. Yes.
I'm just going to dish
Dish
some in here.
Oh, yum. This looks so cool.
So,
Really cool.
do you know that actually on the 22nd of August, it's actually
that's great.
International or World Jollof Rice Day?
Oh, really?
There's actually a day just dedicated to it.
How about we do it twice? I saved the recipe. It's on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. Bonnie, how good does this look?
It looks absolutely delicious. And thank you so much for celebrating Africa Day with us. And thank you for your Facebook comments. We asked you earlier, how are you celebrating Africa Day? And Katlego Sitati said, reading about the real Africa, the birth of human civilization. And Lindell Walker says, having a braai with family and friends while the celebrations continue. Take it away, girls.
Go. Yo, Anga. Carlene, where you at?
Let's go to the island. Stand together, you and me. We can win this million. We're gonna find treasure by the smooth.
Yeah.
The Tropica Island of Treasure Seychelles theme song performed by MT, Anga Makubalo and Carleen van Jasveld is available for you for download. It's on iTunes and the Google Play Store. Proceeds from the song will be donated to Chuck. You can also win big when you buy Tropica. Simply follow the entry details on your Tropica bottle and find the T's and C's at tropica.co.za.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Dan is just staring into nowhere. We're live on his ABC3. Are you just getting over all the performances?
Totally, and I've also been reading through so many of the comments, and I'm just so proud of South Africa. I really am proud of South Africans for the way that they've been celebrating this day. From all races, colours and creeds. Right. I've just been sharing some incredible stories on our Facebook page, so thank you for all of them, honestly.
Absolutely, and I don't know if any of you know, but South Africa's focus this year is celebrating the life of O.R. Tambo. He would have been 100 years today.
Exactly.
Isn't that incredible?
Fantastic. And we're focusing on youth. I think there's something to the theme being about youth that they're going to be going throughout this whole year, which will be really, really cool. Listen, it's almost time for us to say goodbye on Afternoon Express on a sort of Africa Day, and it would be so remiss of us not to get final thoughts and messages from you. What is your heart saying about Africa Day? What does your heart say to South Africans about this day?
I would say, you know, for South African men to look after their women and children. And that's, to me, is my Africa Day message.
And I would say, know your story. Own it, claim it, own it, and read it.
Yes, own your story. Isn't there a TED talk about that? Like, know your story and own it. I flippin' love that one. That's one of my favorites. Ma?
What I will say that masibuyele embo, women and children, let's work together, and also we must learn to have a partnership with other countries, especially these countries that are working hand in hand with South Africa.
Exactly. So learn to celebrate each other. Shall I read through one of these comments that really got my attention? One came from Tapelo Chilo Zeda. He says, Africa Day means embracing and being proud of my own culture and also allowing myself to to learn about other African cultures, unity in diversity. He sent us this cool photo over there. Thank you so much, Tapelo, for that one. I've showed you Busi, but I mean, I also wanted to show you the poll to kind of get those results. I'll refresh this very quickly to see if I can get through that poll results, because you're asking people about this day. I mean, I don't think a lot of South Africans feel it's necessary to engage on this day. Did you experience that?
Yeah, I do. I find some people are just kind of really like, oh, well, Africa Day, whatever.
Yeah, like what does that exactly mean for me nowadays?
Yeah.
Right, so final poll results, 73% of you say, I would love to know more about Africa Day. 27% say yes, and 0% say not really interested. Good to know.
Oh, that's good to know. Well, thank you so much for celebrating with us, and to the guests, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So cool.
Well, I can't wait to taste that jollof rice.
Indeed. And we're going to see you tomorrow. Good night and happy eating, South Africa. Happy Africa Day.
Coming up tomorrow on Afternoon Express, we're joined by Kenyan-born singer, radio presenter and fashion designer Liz Ogumbo. And in the kitchen, it's a Mediterranean feast with slow roasted lamb with beetroot tzatziki and pickled cucumber. Start your weekend with Afternoon Express tomorrow at 4 p.m. on SABC3. The stage is yours.
Another feel-good production.